class, and we're talking about conflict today in regards to the plot, right? And remember, we said all literature is based on problems, right? If we had no problems, if we have no conflict, then we have no dramatic tension and we have no story. All anxiety, all trepidation to go to the next step in life means I'm here and I have to get there. How do I get there? Right? What's in my way? This is conflict. Am I in my own way? Are you in my way? Are the gods in my way? Is the weather in my way? These are all personal and social conflicts that try to keep the characters from getting to where they need to get to, right? And so these are some of the types of conflicts, and I highly recommend that you write these down or type these down as you go over these, because not only will you be quizzed on them, you will be applying these types of conflict to everything we read this semester. Okay, this is a way of identifying what the author is trying to get across in this protagonist journey. When we talked about characters, we said the protagonist is the hero of the story, but something's in his way. The first thing that we'll talk about right here is the conflict of society, right? And what does that mean? This is The Crucible, a very famous play. This is the movie version of it, where women are put to death for being accused of being witches in a puritanical society, the society I grew up in. And you can actually go to Salem and see these women's graves who were put to death for this unbelievable delusion of the mind that these women were putting spells on certain members, mostly male members in their society. So if society is keeping the character down from getting to where they need to get to, or even from being free, because it's not any particular place all the time, sometimes it's just the ability to be free. We talk about 1984 a lot, and when we talk about a society oppressing, any slave stories, a society oppressing, right? Any underdog stories. There's somebody, the giant is after David, right? And David goes after Goliath and slays the giant. Any dragon stories, any Lord of the Rings stories. It's all about a society, right, that is trying to keep somebody in a certain place and preventing them from going where they need to go or doing what they need to do. So the conflict is between mankind, right, human beings, man and womankind, but mankind, we'll use mankind in a word as a non-gender, sort of encapsulating both, as society is oppressing them, right? And I think you'll find any character that's trying to, who's poor, trying to be rich, right, or wants to jump into a different caste system, or any character that is being threatened by somebody, and we'll see this in the stories that will be this semester. Next one, Castaway, which is a Robinson Crusoe story, which, by the way, as your text says, is probably the first accredited novel written. Gilgamesh is the one that we counteract with that, but Robinson Crusoe is considered by many the first novel ever. The protagonist in the story experiences conflict with the elements of nature. So, stranded on a desert island, a storm, right? The nature could also be disease. Nature could also be the nature of the person themselves, right? But the elements of nature, the gods, so to speak, or the single god, is what we look at here, in that it's not a person versus person, it's more Luke against the Force, right? Or I should say, Luke, the Force is good, Luke against the evil, than Luke against actually sword fighting against his father, Darth Vader, right? So this is elements of nature. And the gods, illness, anything that's not man-made is thrown in here. And we'll be looking at this as some kinds of personality conflicts too. So, yes, Jim Carrey makes the list. The protagonist in the story experiences conflict with her or his conscience, right? So it's an internal battle. And we look at any kind of moral story or a person who can't motivate themselves, who tells themselves they can't do it, it's self-defeating. Somebody who wants to do good but for some reason is seduced into doing bad and acts badly, right? And then, so these could mix up with somebody who put some of these witches to death. If they went home and felt bad about it, then that would be both a member of a society that's oppressing and somebody who's in conflict with their own actions and conscience. So a lot of times we will see in a great piece of fiction this inner turmoil of what the character needs to do, and the difference between what they need to do or even want to do and what they're actually doing. Right? The Great Gatsby's not a great man. He is anything but. His actions are different. Now, does his conscience bother him? We can argue that when we get to the novel. So any inner conflict is a battle. If you say man versus society, man versus nature, this is man versus himself, right? Internal conflict, or a woman in herself. So pay attention to these times. And of course, yes, the major battle, it's Darth Vader doing the force of nature, may the force be with you. But it's also mano a mano, a woman a mano. It's this idea of somebody, another human being, is trying to stop the character, or is just plain evil and needs to be stopped. So this is the giant when we talk about that. So the end of this section, in every plot, you look for where is the conflict. And it could be a perceived conflict by the character, which is a problem of perception, which is an inner conflict. But either way, your job as a detective reader is to find out, okay, what is the problems in this? What is stopping the characters from getting what they want, going where they need to go, or simply living in a society that needs changing and they can't change it. They're powerless over it, and they want to change it. All right.